Battle of the Atom number 4 unfolds in the pages of Uncanny X-Men number 12. Young Jean Grey and young Scott rendezvous with old Scott and his X-Men at the ruins of Utopia. After some brief introductions, the Cuckoos help Jean telepathically share her experiences with the future X-Men so far. Magic says that she has seen these people before, and time jumps away without any explanation. Young Scott focuses on their current situation and asks old Scott if he will help them. The more seasoned Cyclops takes a long time to deliberate. The other X-Men present all have their own opinions as well. Old Scott eventually reaches a decision and decides to aid them. Both Emma and Magneto strongly oppose him. Magneto argues that Old Scott is simply trying to make up for killing Charles Xavier. Back with Wolverine's team and the future X-Men, Kitty and Rachel continue to criticize their fellow X-Men. The grandson of Xavier and Zorn, who is actually the future young Jean Grey, struggle to trace young Scott and Jean. However, they catch a break when they receive a psychic message alerting them to the teen's location. The group goes to Utopia, where Zorn psychically incapacitates most of Scott's team. Young Jean tries to resist, but is viciously attacked by Zorn. Unable to watch this occur, Emma Frost and the Cuckoos step in. Although they were the ones who called the future X-Men there, they don't want to see the young X-Men hurt. Emma declares that it is time for battle. Black Queen versus White Queen.
So last issue we had the classic romance of Jean Grey and Scott. This issue, we have the classic rivalry between Emma Frost and Jean Grey.
I couldn't have said it better myself. It was actually kind of cool how Emma basically turned on Scott, went against his wishes, called over all the X-Men, and then decided like, hey, I probably shouldn't have done that, so now I'm just going to fight Jean Grey.
You bring up the decision that they had to make, and first it was Scott's decision. I thought that was really interesting how these two groups, this Wolverine school and Scott's group, they have a very different dynamic of who makes the decisions. It's like almost expected that Scott is the one that's going to make the decision and everyone's going to go along with what he says, while Wolverine is just like, it's just all these people clamoring to have their voice heard, you know?
But in Wolverine, it's not even like a democracy where they talk it out and then make a cohesive decision. It's like everybody just does whatever they want. You know, like Henry just randomly goes and pulls people from the time stream. Like Wolverine will just go off and just stab people, form kill squads.
It's like whoever yells the loudest wins, almost. But over in Scott, it's way more dictatorship with like Emma and Magneto acting as like advisors, you know, where Scott just sort of stands by himself deciding. But that also was a funny scene in this issue where Scott is standing there making his decision. It's all quiet and everyone, especially the kids, are just staring like awkwardly like, man, this is pretty awkward.
Yeah, it was kind of cool that the new students got at least some role in this issue, and I really liked how Christopher just like summarized the whole thing, and he's like, I'm intuitive, that's how I know.
Jumping back to Emma eventually disagreeing with Scott's decision, I thought her exchange with Scott was pretty hilarious.
There were so many great like one-liners in this issue. I really liked how she said to Scott, it's a big get for you. The only thing you love more than your faded memories of Jean Grey is yourself. And I was like, damn, she got him.
You know, you can sort of sense there's definitely some hurt feelings still there.
And she comes back and I'm like on the next page too, saying, you need to think with your head and not with your you-know-what.
And even the Cuckoos finally have to acknowledge that Emma's really on her game right now, and they say, I don't tell you this enough, but damn, you are the best.
It's like she's got her own like cheer squad who just like pats her on the back after she just rips people.
It's a good situation to have. But then again, the young Jean Grey, old Scott, anything with that would be pretty inappropriate.
Yeah. I don't think old Scott would make a move on young Jean Grey.
Not with young Scott there. He's not going to cock block himself.
Speaking of Jean Grey, though, Zorn shows up at the end of this, which we know is the old young Jean, as old Scott basically describes it.
It's going to be interesting to see next issue what she does, because she comes in and completely demonstrates her powers.
And she said she has to wear the Zorn mask because otherwise her powers are just too strong. So she needs it. So I'm kind of wondering, like, A, can the Cuckoos actually take her on?
I don't think so. Especially with Emma at a completely, disabled state that she's in. She can't really do much. The young Jean is clearly outmatched.
It'll also be interesting, though, because it's not like Zorn came alone. It's about the future X-Men and Wolverine's X-Men. So they're there. And then, of course, Scott's team is there, too. So if they can regain control themselves, there'd be an actual physical fight going on as well. I think Wolverine's side has numbers, but I think Scott's side has power. You know, Eva, Tempest.
But right now, they don't have their get out of free jail card because Magic is teleported away.
And that's like a whole other crazy storyline. I guess we actually saw her in part 1 of this event where she had time jumped to the future, seen what was going to happen, and then supposedly time jumped back, and now she sees the future X-Men here and just time jumps away unexpectedly.
So her arrival is probably going to be something that either ends the conflict or starts the conflict when she comes back next issue.
I'm kind of wondering if she's the one who actually screwed things up. Maybe she screwed up the time stream, because as we know in Marvel, like pretty much every title has to be focused on time travel now. Like Thor, Spider-Man, Age of Ultron.
Definitely too much time travel going on. But another aspect to watch out for next issue is the S.H.I.E.L.D. side of it and Mystique.
Yeah, I'm glad she, in her Dazzler disguise, finally popped up. I think she could add another cool twist to everything, like just be another side that enters the fray. S.H.I.E.L.D. itself could possibly enter the fray. And I actually really liked some of Maria Hill's lines in this issue as well. When she first gets word that there's another X-Men situation developing, she just goes, "Come on!" And then, of course, she has to immediately blame Hank McCoy, but then she made a good point saying, it's not because I'm racist, it's just because he's got no control.
It's true, Ed. She brings up really good points of why she hates him. He's the one, more than Wolverine, that does whatever he wants, because he's just that smart.
Or he thinks he's that smart.
He's an Illuminati member, so I guess it just
She doesn't know that.
No, she doesn't, but it just comes with being an Illuminati. You just do whatever you think is right. I mean, Reed Richards does it all the time, so does Tony Stark. All the one-liners and the witty conversations that this issue had, I think it really highlights what Bendis' strength is. This issue had absolutely no conflict, and it was just people talking. And I think that's what he's really good at.
Just witty one-liners?
Yeah, he's really good at bringing out character in conversation and allowing these conversations to be snappy. Something like you see on TV or in the movies, just having dialogue.
Yeah, it's true. I did find myself laughing at quite a few of the lines in this issue. As a grade, though, for Uncanny X-Men number 12, what would you give it?
I'd give this a 4 out of 5. I really like seeing a jealous and angry Emma Frost, and her subtle and not so subtle barbs were absolutely great. I'm really curious what's going to happen next issue because all the X-Men are together, and that is always the perfect moment for a Sentinel to appear.
I'm going to give this issue a 4.5. I really like the funny one-liners. Reading Maria Hill's complaints and Emma's scathing critique of Scott was just hilarious.
Thanks for watching B3 Comics' review of Battle of the Atom Part 4, Uncanny Avengers number 12. Before we go, we have a question for you.
Brian Bendis actually set this up at the end of this issue saying the message boards are going to love this, but who do you think would win in a fight? Black Queen or White Queen?
I'm with the White Queen, but we want to know what you think. Put your answer in the comments below, and if you like what you saw, give us a thumbs up.